My name is Marcy Hughes, and I'm a student at Texas A&M Commerce. I am currently studying the Organizational Leadership Program, and I'm finishing up my time in that program. This is a video diary of where I started and where I am now with the help of this program. In beginning this program, I thought my leadership ability was average. I was a lead trainer for a restaurant and grew in that role, and eventually became a manager for that restaurant. In that role, I have learned how to effectively manage, something I now know is very different from effective leadership. I eventually moved on and secured a job as a paralegal, something more in line with my educational background. And in that role, I moved to become a senior paralegal manager. So I managed the day-to-day functions of the small legal office, including 4 non-attorney employees and 4 attorneys. In that position, I acted as a leader to the staff and interns. Also did the office management side, supply ordering, and managed my book of business for clients in which my attorney was in charge of. In my current role, I serve as a trust officer in a large corporate bank, and I'm the leader to my trust administrative officer and an informal leader to my colleagues. Before taking this course, I found leadership pretty easy. You tell someone what to do, show them how to do it, and follow up to make sure it got done. I had no idea how complex leadership was. It consists of more than just the act of leading a person or a group. You must study and understand the traits and behaviors, the different styles of leadership. You must also understand your followers. Like leaders, they have traits and behaviors and styles of their own. And in order to be a good leader, you must start as a good follower. A leader must also understand their groups and the teams, how they interact with one another, how individuals kind of feed off one another, and all of those dynamics. And the leader must be able to adapt to all of those things in the dynamic workforce. A leader also must understand ethical concerns, especially with the increased diversity in organizations and growth in emerging markets. There are more and more ethical concerns to worry about. Leadership is a complex phenomenon, one you can study throughout your entire career and still not know everything about. The first course in the program I'm going to discuss is Issues in Organizational Leadership. This course was an overview of organizational leadership, including the behaviors and traits of effective leaders, and a general concept of how leaders perform given the various situations that they face. Learning about the different types of leader was really eye-opening for me. I learned that my current style and behaviors are just not effective for today's growing organizations, and am now learning more appropriate behaviors that still allow me to be comfortable and be myself, but will work in organizations that are dynamic and large. My leadership style when joining the program was really autocratic. I have a hard time delegating and listening effectively. I tend to lack trust in others to get the job done, and I often find myself just thinking, oh, it'll be faster if I do it myself than try to explain it and follow up. I now understand that this is really ineffective and quite honestly disrespectful. As a leader, you have to explain your expectations and then allow your followers to do the job. Offering guidance and reassurance along the way, of course. You have to be understanding that mentorship is necessary and mistakes are inevitable and okay, as long as the follower brings them to you, corrects them, and learns from them to keep them from happening again. You really have to influence and encourage your followers and empower those who you identify as potential future leaders based on their exhibited traits and behaviors. It's very important to grow the next generation of leaders. From being in this program, my mind really changed once I understood that in order to be a good leader, you need to understand how to be a good follower. I've really been working on my followership as a way to impact my leadership abilities. I learned a lot about who I am as a leader and how far I have to go. And where I want to be through this course. And I developed a personal plan that included my leadership, personal reflections, areas of development, a development of my leadership vision, and understanding of key leadership attributes. This course was really a good groundwork to show me where I'm at and what I need to do to get to that ultimate goal. The next course I am going to be speaking about is data-driven decision-making. This was a two-part course that involved learning how data impacts organizations of all size. Data is incredibly impactful, and everything uses data. Client marketing, new employee recruitment and hiring processes, current employee reviews, sales, product development and information, entrepreneurship, new location opportunities. I mean, the list is endless. Everything uses data. By knowing what quantitative data to gather, how to interpret that data and understand it, and then how to use it in an impactful and meaningful way is really an incredible process. Moreover, big data is playing a major role in organizations. By mining large amounts of data, the organization can get a large-scale picture of information about any aspect of their organization, including better decision making, better efficiencies, improved product and pricing, increased competition, ways to cut costs, everything. You can use data to really solve a lot of problems if you know where to find it and know how to understand it and interpret it. In data-driven decision-making 1, I identified a problem with my organization that could be solved using data. I worked through how to determine my metrics, find my data, create a process and implementation plan, and create impactful change with the data. In data-driven decision-making 2, I did a data management project using supplier data that was provided to me, and it included sales information, and it was my job to determine opportunities for the company. I looked at product sales data for each store that purchases from this particular supplier, and I used that data to make recommendations on products to discontinue, countries to explore for marketing, product pricing opportunities, stores to commend for high sales, also stores to perhaps look at discontinuing for low sales, really just a multitude of things. Before taking these courses, I was not aware of how to gather or organize or read data. And while I knew data was out there and I understood that it was very important to an organization, it was intimidating. I had never explored it because I just didn't know where to start. I'm much more comfortable with the gathering of data and interpretation of data because of this program, and I'm very thankful for that. The next courses I am going to discuss are the organizational ethics courses. This is another two-part series. These courses really were a high-level examination of workplace ethics and how leaders impact ethical decision-making in their followers. Coming into this course, I had a fair amount of ethical knowledge concerning major theories, and that's just from previous coursework that I had. However, these particular courses focused on organizational ethics and how they're used in the workplace, so I did learn a great deal. As organizations continue to grow and oftentimes compete in international and emerging markets, the understanding of different ethical perspectives is more important now than ever. While I may find something perfectly ethical, a colleague who has a different set of beliefs or values may find it highly unethical. Moreover, I may feel something is ethical, but the organization itself, their opinions may differ or their culture may differ. Additionally, as a leader, you have to think about public perception. The action very well may be perfectly ethical, but if the public perception is that it's unethical, you can really run into a major dilemma there. As a leader, you must remain educated and current on your personal ethical thinking, understand other people's standards, recognize your organization's ethical tolerances, and stay in touch with current ethical standards of the public. As organizational leadership, or an organizational leader has a particularly hard job concerning ethical decision making. In these two courses, I evaluated a couple of cases. One, the Ford Pinto case, and the other, the Nissan case. The Ford Pinto case involved really a lack of action. There was a malfunction in product design due to the gas tank placement, and several people lost their lives in accidents that caused fires. Executives failed to act quickly with Ford because they were not legally obligated to. Instead, they assigned blame onto everything but the design of their car. And because of the culture of the organization, followers, they weren't comfortable or empowered to speak up. Organizations have the duty of social responsibility, which Ford really ignored in this case. The next course that was covered was the Nissan case, which looked at Carlos Ghosn's leadership style and his ethical stances. He had a particularly hard job because Nissan, they needed rapid change and total organizational development, including the culture, the visions, the goals of the company as a whole. And he had to do this while adjusting to cultural norms, ethics, and beliefs that were completely foreign to him. These cases, really, they provided an excellent comparison and contrast of differing ethical opinions and theories. The leadership theory courses were another two-part set. These courses offered insight into the practice and principles of leadership and organizational management. They looked deeper into organizational processes, strategies, theories, challenges, project management, globalization, environmental factors. The list goes on. They were very robust and informative courses. They offered information and solutions on organizational planning and situational control, and took a deep dive into how organizations deliver and how effective leadership really drives those successes. In the first course, I developed a SWOT analysis for Bank of America, in which I identified strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the organization, and recognized an opportunity for improvement within the organization. The SWOT is really an unbiased overview of what the organization is doing right and what needs work. It identifies threats so the organization can be proactive to them, and foresee things that may need to change in the future. In the second course, I elaborated through an implementation plan on the item that I had identified in the SWOT previously. This opportunity that I identified really was to take a deeper look into finding ways on how to diversify the bank's client base by looking at underserved demographics within the banking and trust divisions for Bank of America. And then taking a look at producing demographic and location-specific marketing material that's tailored to engage the identified demographics. The marketing material would be specific to the underserved markets within the U.S., and then the bank could use that information to get a better idea of what those demographics are looking for in a financial provider, and use that information on an international level to diversify its revenue stream, which it really truly needs. Understanding the organization holistically was really interesting through the SWOT. It was fun, and developing the implementation plan around a major process improvement, including finding the metrics and controls at each stage, and how to develop improved targets, was really challenging and rewarding. It was interesting to put onto paper the specific processes and procedures and project management that must take place when implementing a major change, and to see how much research and time and effort goes into these things. From identifying the need for change, building the process and facilitating the improvement, allocating resources, estimating costs, finding the risk. A lot goes into these process improvements, and completion of this project really gave me a new respect for leadership and the struggles they face when trying to enact change within an organization. I also took a course on leading change. This course helped to understand how organizational change and development happens. Organizational development is really a transformative change to the organization's culture, processes, procedures, and climate. It helps create a healthier, more effective organization. The course gave insight as to who I am as a leader and what I need from my organization to be effective. I learned that I really prefer formalized environments with high level of trust from upper level managers. I need them to trust that I will get the job done with limited micromanaging, which is interesting because I tend to micromanage myself, and that really is something that I'm working on because of this program. This course also focused on conflict management and looked at group dynamics and functions and how to best manage followers to implement a real change. Rarely in an organization can you just say, do it this way, and it get done, especially in a large organization. All forms of change must be researched and understood before anything can be enacted. Even small changes have a large-scale effect on all parts and departments in an organization. It's important to detail the purpose and need for change in a really descriptive action plan, and then get the entire team on board by using facts and metrics and encouragement. In this course, I did a change management plan, and this was to change the way a generation skipping tax questionnaire was performed in Bank of America. This is specific to tax issues in the trust sector of Bank of America, a private bank. This change impacted the trust group, the tax group, the investment group, regional fiduciary leaders, senior leadership. It impacted more than just the tax questionnaire. It would require hiring of a new team, and budgets would have to account for this. There's a lot that goes into this relatively small change. Really a new group completes who does the questionnaire, but it impacts a wide variety of departments and people. And so this class really helped show everything that goes into changes in organizations. The final two courses I will discuss are the capstone courses. These are the courses that are a culmination of everything I have learned throughout the program. The capstone one allowed me to write in-depth papers about the traits and behaviors of leaders, as well as looking in depth at situational and contingency theories of leadership. I also had the opportunity to interview 2 leaders from separate organizations and get their thoughts and experiences on leadership. And from these interviews, I gained new perspectives on concepts I learned, and was able to put real life examples to a lot of the concepts that I studied. It was wonderful to learn about their struggles and successes that led them to their positions, and hear how their leadership impacts their followers and organizations daily. It was great to compare and contrast their viewpoints and strategies and relate them to all the learnings I've done throughout the program. The strategic case analysis gave me the opportunity to review an organization in whole, including full identification of the organization, providing a SWOT analysis, including external environmental factors that the organization faces, and looking at the organizational strategy and leadership processes, and then giving recommendations for change opportunities. This analysis was a deep dive into Bank of Oklahoma Financial, and showed me how important it is for an organization of any size to look inwardly with an unbiased view, to reflect on themselves and make changes as necessary. These capstones really were a culmination of everything I've learned, putting it all together, and understanding how everything relates. Through this program, I have learned that leadership is a complex phenomenon that relies on communication, trust, effective listening, empowerment. Good leaders must also be good followers. That was a huge takeaway for me and a defining moment. I now have a strong understanding of who I am as a leader and what I need to improve in myself to become effective. I understand the importance of encouraging my followers, being adaptive, communicating my goals with clear expectations, and educating and grooming followers, looking and identifying for potential leaders and really creating the next generation. In my future, I aspire to get back into the legal field. I plan to stay where I'm at and really grow and cultivate my leadership skills until I'm ready. Eventually, I would like to get into a managing paralegal position for a large corporate firm, preferably in estate planning and wealth management department. In doing this, I would be using my newly acquired leadership knowledge and education to grow young paralegals and provide them with the encouragement, direction, discipline that they need to be productive for the organization. I am so appreciative for this program and for everything I have learned. I look forward to continuing to craft my leadership, make it personal to me that's effective for any organization. And I'm so thankful for everything I've learned and for Texas A&M Commerce, all of the professors, and really just everything that I have learned. I'm so thankful for.